Never accept this kind of treatment. Healing parables. Isabella and the Wise Man. A parable about boundaries. There once was a young woman named Isabella. She was kind and caring, always trying to do the right thing. But despite her goodness, her life felt like a never-ending series of problems. Work was stressful, her personal life was full of conflicts, and each new day seemed to demand more from her than she had left to give. One day, feeling completely exhausted and on the verge of breaking down, Isabella decided she needed to escape. Nature had always been her refuge, the place where she could heal and find peace. So she told her boyfriend she needed to be alone, took a leave from work, packed a large backpack with a tent and food, and set off for the nearby mountains. She knew these trails well. In her university years, she had often gone hiking with friends. The journey was safe, the weather was warm and sunny, and the forecast promised clear skies. As she walked, heavy thoughts weighed on her, but at least, she thought, everything about this trip had worked out perfectly. It felt like nature itself was welcoming her with open arms, ready to restore her spirit. When she reached a small mountain stream, she sat down by the water. The gentle babbling of the stream seemed to wash away some of her stress, bringing her a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. Later, as she climbed higher, she spotted something unusual. A cabin built into the side of a rock. This surprised her. She knew these mountains well, yet she had never seen this place before. Sitting outside the cabin was an elderly man with a kind face, brewing coffee over an open fire. When he saw Isabella, he waved warmly and gestured for her to join him. Feeling a strange sense of comfort in his presence, Isabella approached and sat down by the fire. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. "Why do you live here all alone?" she asked, curious. "I've been coming to these mountains for years, but I've never seen your cabin before." The old man smiled. "I chose this life," he said. "I feel at home in nature. Besides, I'm never truly alone. Hikers pass through, and I enjoy their company. And when they leave, I find peace in the solitude." Isabella nodded. "I came here to be alone too," she admitted. "My life is full of stress. I don't have close friends, my parents criticize me all the time, work is overwhelming, and at home, my boyfriend has a terrible temper. I feel like I'm losing myself under all this pressure." The old man studied her for a moment, then said thoughtfully, "Sometimes, we allow others to treat us in ways we would never treat them." Isabella frowned. "What do you mean?" "Tell me," he asked gently. "Have you ever shouted at someone you love over something trivial?" "No," Isabella said after a pause. "But everyone loses their temper now and then." "That's true," the old man agreed. "But doing it once in a while and doing it all the time are very different things. Imagine you had a beloved friend, or even a dog. Would you constantly lash out at them for no reason?" Isabella's heart sank. "No," she said softly. "That would be cruel." The old man nodded. "Exactly. You already know this. Love and respect go hand in hand. So why do you allow your boyfriend to treat you in a way you would never treat someone else?" Tears welled up in Isabella's eyes. She had been trying to justify her boyfriend's outbursts for so long. "He had a difficult childhood," she murmured. "He has a hard time controlling his emotions." The old man sighed. "That may be true. But does that excuse his behavior? Does it make it right?" Isabella said nothing, but deep down, she knew the answer. "You don't have to make any big decisions right now," the old man reassured her. "But you do need to set boundaries. You need to tell him that speaking to you that way is unacceptable. If he changes, great. If he doesn't, then maybe it's time to walk away." Isabella wept. She had spent so long convincing herself that things weren't that bad. Now, hearing the truth spoken so plainly, she couldn't hold back her emotions. The old man gently patted her head as she cried. After a while, she wiped her tears and took a deep breath. "My parents aren't much better," she admitted. "Every time I talk to them, my mother tells me I should move back to my home state, find a stable job, and get married. My father asks if I've been promoted yet, and when I say no, he sighs and says, "Of course not." I expected as much. The old man's face saddened. That must be painful. It is, Isabella said. Growing up, my parents always demanded perfect grades and a spotless house. If I made even a small mistake, they scolded me. Nothing was ever good enough. The old man nodded. Now, imagine yourself as a mother. If you had a child, would you only care about their grades? Would that be the only thing that mattered to you? Of course not, Isabella exclaimed. I would want to know who they are as a person, what they dream about, what makes them happy or sad. The old man smiled. You see, you already know what love should look like. Your parents may never change, but you don't have to keep having the same conversations with them. You have the right to say, I don't want to discuss my career with you. Set that boundary. Isabella felt another wave of sadness, but this time, it brought relief. She had been holding on to the hope that her parents would change. Now she understood that she couldn't control them, but she could control how much of their criticism she allowed into her life. After a long silence, Isabella spoke again. At work, it's the same. They keep piling responsibilities on me, but I get no raise, no bonus, no recognition. Just more work. Do you make mistakes? The old man asked. Do you show up late? Miss deadlines? No, Isabella said firmly. I'm one of the best employees there. The old man nodded. If you had your own company and an employee like you, would you keep adding work without giving them anything in return? Of course not, Isabella said. If there was an emergency, I would ask for help, not demand it. And I would make sure to show appreciation. Maybe even give a bonus. So why do you accept this treatment for yourself? The old man asked. Isabella hesitated, then sighed. Because jobs are hard to find. That's true, the old man said. But skilled, hard-working people like you will always find opportunities. Isabella nodded. She had never thought about it that way before. The old man smiled. Promise me something, Isabella. Don't let anyone treat you in a way you wouldn't treat someone else. Can you do that? Yes, Isabella whispered. Thank you. She hugged the old man, shared some food with him, and began her descent back to the city. And so, Isabella took the wise man's advice to heart. She quit her job and found a better one. She set firm boundaries with her parents and refused to discuss her career with them. And eventually, she left her boyfriend. At first, he tried to keep her in the cycle, but Isabella no longer played along. She stopped engaging when he exploded in anger. And in time, he realized she was no longer a container for his rage. Later, Isabella met a kind-hearted man who treated her with the love and respect she had always deserved. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened. And no matter what, she always remembered the wise man's words. Never let others treat you in a way you would never treat them. The end.